everyone, this is Liz from Edinburgh Cheese. I've got the amazing Selina Errington here with me as well. I should say Selina Cairns from Errington Cheese. Big wave, big wave.
Hi.
We're here today to talk about Scottish cheese and in particular blue cheeses. We've got two Selina's cheeses, Lanark Blue and Bigger Blue, and then we also have Hebridean Blue from the chaps up at the Isle of Mull. So I think first what we should do is have a wee chat with Selina about how the farm has been affected, how cheesemaking in Scotland has been affected, and how she's had to adapt what she's doing and what she has been doing to deal with the crisis that we're currently in. So Selina, tell us a little bit more.
Hi. Well, we're obviously normally in normal times we make kind of 60 to 70% of our cheese that we make is blue cheese. So obviously everything's been turned upside down in the last couple of months. So we launched, so all of our sales were going to wholesalers who were distributing it to restaurants and hotels and to delicatessens. So that's obviously all changed. We're still selling a little bit to some wholesalers, and they're distributing it to delicatessens, but most of it is we're selling online now via the website that we set up 2 months ago. And we found it's been really popular, and the mixed boxes, so people I think are more looking for kind of a store cupboard type cheese that they can eat every day. So the blue cheese is really struggling. So I think probably all that we're selling at the moment is about 20%. So we're just trying to encourage everybody to keep eating blue cheese a wee bit. And I know that I think some of the Stilton makers have just like stopped making for 3 months. Difficult for us and the Reeds because there's no other market for the milk. So the sheep's milk, obviously we only have it for a short period of the year because it's seasonal, and the goat's milk we have to make it all into cheese, as do the Reeds. And Mull being on an island, there's no processors who can come and collect their milk and put it into the liquid pool. So I'm hoping that we can try and raise a bit of awareness and try and encourage people. So I've put together a blue cheese box, which Angela, my sister-in-law, named the 3 shades of blue. So we've got Lanark Blue, which is our original sheep's milk blue cheese. Hebridean, which is made here, which is the Isle of Mull. So I think they've been making it for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, I reckon about that. Yeah.
And Bigger Blue, which we have made before, but we've just been making it since we got the goats in August. So that's this one here. So it's a bit more squidgy, and it's the softer out of them all.
Yeah, I think the Bigger's a great cheese. I don't think I was around in the cheese world when you guys were first making the Bigger, but I'm so glad to have it back in now. I think it's fantastic cheese and just amazing for the summer as well.
Yeah, because it's not too heavy, is it?
Yeah.
And it's quite light. And actually the Lanark Blue, I mean, is a very seasonal cheese as well, and it's very mild at this time of year because it's from the spring milk, and so it's quite sweet and light. Whereas it does change, obviously the shape dry up in September, so from sort of September up until sort of January time, it becomes more pungent and a bit more spicy, and it's got, more flavour. But then I suppose it suits the season as well, because Christmas is a sort of more blue cheese time of year, and you want something a bit stronger to sit with your red wine or
definitely. I think the Lanark, once it gets a little bit more punchy and you get a bit more of that tingle on the tongue, I think it's fantastic for kind of September onwards and towards the winter as a slightly fresher alternative to Stilton, especially for people who don't deal with it. So
it naturally aligns itself with the season's Lanark Blue. Bigger Blue is a wee bit older just now because we do try and sort of sell it about 2 months, but our sales just literally disappeared. So we're really trying to sell a wee bit more of it to use up the stock so it doesn't go overripe.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm glad we've got the 3 shades of blue selection that everyone can get from the Errington cheese website if they want delivery. A little Scottish blue tang on the go. Should we try the Lanark Blue, and then we can talk a bit more about Scottish cheese making in general and what it's going on. I think you start with the Lanark because this is obviously your kind of, you know, the initial cheese that you've been making for years, not just you, but your father as well.
Yeah, so my father developed this in the early
I'm quite excited.
the early 1980s. Complete, you know, sort of completely different to anything else that was being produced at the time, because there wasn't much farmhouse cheese being produced. So this is, again, it's pretty young at this time of year.
I love how kind of light and fresh it is, especially obviously at this time of year, as we've already said. But it's lovely to have something that isn't too cloying and isn't too, you know, it doesn't sit on your palate. It refreshes it quite a lot, and it's quite a little bit metallic, but it's, you know, it's uplifting. It wakes you up a little bit.
Yeah, and it's lovely in salad, you know, with celery and walnuts and whatever else you can fit into it.
Yeah, anything nice and fresh, radishes, that kind of stuff, really, really good. I'd even say you could almost pair it with a bit of watermelon in there rather than a feta if you wanted to. I think it's
and the other thing is you don't need to have red wine with it at this time of year. I think it actually goes quite well with certain white wines. I
wouldn't mind it with a glass of fizz.
Yes, even fizz if
it wasn't blowing the gale outside anyway.
Yeah. We're all struggling to get out and see our friends, and sort of, I imagine the sales of French champagne is quite down at the moment.
Yeah, I think we may have all slightly lowered our price bracket to Prosecco and Cava.
Sure, yeah.
We have
it's a cheese that you shouldn't expect to taste the same all around the year. We obviously try and keep it as consistent as possible, but you know, it's just naturally going to be a lot more pungent at Christmas time than
and that's entirely because of what the animals are eating in the season and what's going on with the weather, and, you know, what stage of the lactation cycle they're in. I think actually, although consistency is a wonderful thing in a cheese, I like to see a bit of seasonality and a bit of variable flavor profiles as the season goes on. I don't want something to be consistently tasting the same the whole time. I like to think, I know, because, you know, 2 months ago it was windy and rainy and the weather was terrible, and that's why they've, you know, the taste is different and the profile is different.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I mean, I think me and Angela always feel, well, we were talking about it the other day actually, that our best cheese we make early June, and I don't know why, but it always, you know, when you're tasting it later in the year, it's always memorable, the cheese from early June.
Everybody take note, buy cheese in about 2 months' time.
Yeah, well, of course, the coral in it is like
blue cheese box.
Yeah. But that could well be the cheese you're eating in the autumn, so that was made in June.
Yeah, fantastic. I'm all up for that. I'll pop down. Pick some up. I should mention that Selina and Errington cheeses are only about half an hour outside of Edinburgh. They're the closest cheesemakers to Edinburgh. Everybody else is quite far away from us in Scotland, so it's nice to have somebody local, pretty much, on the Zoom chat to talk about cheeses.
We're in Edinburgh, and we're lucky being so close, really. But we're quite close to Glasgow as well. We're only about
you are kind of,
we're only 30 miles from Glasgow too, so we're right in the centre. But
try and think of you as closer to Edinburgh, just because I'm here.
Yeah, well, yes, and then I don't know. Are we going to?
Yeah, let's do the bigger. Let's do the Bigger Blue. Do you want to tell us a bit of the history about Bigger Blue and why you decided to start making it again? And a very exciting announcement about what happened night before last.
Yeah, so when we got the goats, I wasn't actually planning to make blue cheese at all. because I thought I wanted a fresh start, and you know, we had these goats, and I was going to make lots of lactic cheese, which is quite sensible for goat's milk because it's a lot lower in solids than the sheep's milk. So the sheep's milk, depending on the season, the time of year and the lactation, it's sort of, you know, maybe 7% fat and 6% protein or something like that just now. And then it goes up as the lactation goes on. So we get, and then the goat's milk is more verging, maybe slightly less than the cow's milk. So we get about, from the same litre of milk, we get double the amount of cheese from sheep's milk as opposed to the goat's milk. Yeah, so but we ran out of Lanark Blue, I think it was by the end of November last year, and then I sort of spoke to some customers and they were like, yes, we need some more Scottish Blue. So that's, and they liked the trial we'd had. So we've been doing it ever since sort of the end of October time when we started making it again. So we use a similar type of recipe, but we obviously just handle the curds a wee bit differently because they're more fragile, and then, you know, the curd takes a slightly different amount of time to set and that kind of thing. But you, the texture is a lot softer. I don't know how well you can see from.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's almost quite squidgy.
It is a bit squidgy. I have to admit, I've got a piece here, and you're right. It does have like a certain spring to it.
A bounce, yes.
In a good way. In a good way.
Yeah, almost like kind of verging on gorgonzola-y in the corners.
I don't think mine's quite that squidgy, but my days of handling gorgonzola dolce, maybe definitely
maybe not the dolce version.
Yeah. Not the dolce. But
yeah. So again, I don't think. I mean, I'll cut a wee slice and show you. Hopefully.
Yeah, let's have a little bit just to double check it's okay and it tastes delicious.
So it is a softer texture, isn't it? You can see it's kind of.
Yeah. Again, really fresh. It's blue, but it's not really overpowering. It's not your kind of. You get that lightness from it, which you don't really get from, say, a cow's milk blue, which we'll go on to next. It's a lot lighter. It's a little bit more metallic. You've almost got some kind of pine notes in there as well. I think it's delicious.
Yeah. Great
with a charcoal cracker.
Yeah. No, we're really pleased with it. So we're only milking about 60 goats just now, so quite a small amount of milk, about 200 litres a day.
Yeah.
And so there's 20 or so kidding. So we had our first kid the night before last, which was very exciting.
Very cute as well.
The children seem to
go on to Errington Cheese Instagram, you'll see it. It's adorable.
Yeah. And our children seem to be much more in tune with the goats than the lambs, or the kids than the lambs, I'm afraid. So they're very, very excited and go down to check it several times a day. So,
well, it's a distraction from schoolwork.
Yeah, and well, yes, and she's named Sky, so it's all very exciting.
Oh, that's exciting.
So she'll join the young stock group, and her mum will join the milk group, and hopefully the rest of them will kids soon.
It's exciting, and it's nice to see that over the kind of last year or so, 2 years, you've managed to diversify back into the goats again. And just before all this kind of happened, which gives you a little bit, it's nice to have a new blue cheese on the Scottish cheese market, because we don't have that many, and it's also nice to have a goat variation rather than cow's milk. Or I think it's a really, really welcome addition to Scottish cheese, and it's great to see that you're also doing lactic cheeses as well, such as the Elric.
Yeah, well, we're still, I mean, we're still just trying to work out exactly how to sort of, what our kind of thing is a wee bit with the goat's milk, because, you know, it is really new, and it does take you quite a few years to get a cheese, you know, really the way you want it. When I think about the Corlin, that probably took 5 years or something, and Yeah, but no, we're really pleased with this. I suppose we know blue cheese well, as you
Yes.
know, because we have made it before. We've been making the sheep's milk blue for over 30 years, and we obviously made a cow's milk blue before that. So
I think I always try and explain to my customers that, so like whenever I'm doing a tasting, that although the cheeses that we're tasting now change seasonally, I said, the cheesemakers have always got something on the side that they're playing with, and they're adapting and they're changing to get it to how they want it to taste and to have a flavor profile and a texture profile. And they always think, really? And I'm like, yeah, that's why we don't suddenly appear with new cheeses like Bigger Blue or Sir Lancelot. And it's got to be adapted and played with and experimented with in order to get something that both the cheesemakers are happy with, and also the cheesemongers and the delis are happy with, and that the customers will ultimately buy.
yeah, and then you've also got to make a certain amount of it to be kind of commercially viable as well, and that can be the difficult thing. You get a lot of positive feedback from a small group, but it's just not enough to keep going with something. So I suppose that's where we are with the goat's cheese, is just working out what's most popular, because you can obviously make it if you're just concentrating on one or two cheeses. It's much easier to make them really well than that our current, we're just making loads of different stuff. But that is more to do with the situation we're all in just now, and obviously it's helping me use up the milk to make lots of different cheeses.
Yeah, well, it's good to see that we're not losing all that raw milk.
No, I couldn't throw it down the drain, which is the other thing. So we're sort of making a semi-hard goat's cheese called Tinto and a hard one called Bonington Lynn, and we're just mixing it all around a wee bit.
Play around and see what sells.
Yeah, well, now's the time, isn't it? So, yeah. And then
we're lacking in raw milk Scottish cheeses as it is. It's a diminishing market, a diminishing production here. So it's good to see that you guys still have the ability and the passion to be able to play around and create new cheeses, and hopefully that'll encourage other people to do so as well, so we can keep it going.
Yeah. I know. Well, of course, from a cow's milk blue, I think there's the Isle of Mull here.
Yeah.
And then we have Wilma's making blue cheese down in Galloway, Cream of Galloway.
Yes. Yeah.
And she's doing well with that. So that is a lot softer than this is made in a slightly more of a Stilton style of recipe.
Yeah, but a lot firmer. You can definitely tell the difference between this. I should have brought a piece of Stilton along to compare it. Really,
yeah,
it's a lot firmer. Actually, I just tried this before we came on to do this, and it's tasting really, really buttery, but it's nowhere near the same texture as you would expect from a Stilton. It's a lot firmer. And yeah, it's although made in a Stilton style, it just goes to show the difference between being, in Nottingham, Derbyshire, Leicestershire area, or being on the Isle of Mull, where it's pretty wild, it's pretty windy, it's pretty wet. And the cows don't get quite as much of that glorious sunshine they get down south.
Yeah, I don't know what other blue cheeses we've got just now.
I'm thinking off the top of my head, I can't think of any raw milk blue cheeses that we've got.
No, which is a shame. Children are trying to interrupt. Sorry. No. They've just been feeding the lambs. So we had a few pet lambs.
Cuddling Sky.
Sorry.
That's okay. Let's go on and taste. As we've been talking about Hebridean blue, let's try a little bit of the Heb blue.
Right, I'll cut a slice. So it is a blue cheese, blue.
It is. But I have to say that when I saw this, when I picked it up the other day, I was like, oh crikey, that is looking really blue for a blue. But actually, it's not tasting nearly as strong as you think.
No, I don't. I find it quite a mellow blue cheese. It's not really, really pungent.
Lovely and buttery.
Yeah. So that's the sort of different style of making it, and the cow's milk obviously has got quite a distinct flavour. I mean, it's definitely a blue cheese, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. But again, it's not nearly as strong as you'd think it would be. Sorry, I've got just wrong in my throat. I think it's coming out incredibly well balanced and buttery. Again, it's got that slight tingle that you get from the blue. I think it's delicious. I think it's tasty.
Well, it's quite an interesting eating them all three together, isn't it? Because they are all really, really different.
Yeah, it's a lovely contrast to go 3 different types of milk and 3 really quite different types of cheese. But it's so wonderful that they've got such a great balance.
Yeah.
Lovely. Good example of different places you can be in Scotland and what you can experience with cheeses.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think it's quite a nice box to have.
I think it's a really good box to have. I think for people, you know, a lot of people in Scotland really do love blue cheeses, and I think it's a great way for them to support you and the other cheesemakers who are in Scotland doing what they need to be doing at the time. And hopefully we can all continue and do more cheese tastings.
Yeah. Well,
ones.
Sorry?
And try some different ones.
Yeah, definitely.
Hard cheeses next.
Sorry?
We'll do hard cheeses next.
Yeah, well, I've got, I'm getting some Dunlop for my Jane box and some Cairns, you know, the organic Ayrshire cow's milk. I've not decided exactly what else. The other thing Scotland needs is some soft cheese, you know, some cow's milk soft cheeses, don't they?
I quite agree. I find it a real shame that we don't have a lovely soft cow's milk cheese. You know, I suppose brie or camembert style, something that can be along those lines. I'll tell you what else I'd love is a Scottish version of a flammery. I love flammery and I'd love it for a Scottish version. But I think hopefully the cheesemakers up in Scotland can continue to experiment, play around, have the support of all of the delis and the cheesemongers in Scotland, and fingers crossed people can keep buying cheese. Guys, if you do want to buy any cheese boxes, Selina has got a great selection over on Errington Cheese and she can deliver. So I think we'll say goodbye from here and we will continue at a later date with some more cheeses. How does that sound, guys?
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.